As you can see, this is the axis part. Let's now watch the video of the waterfall region. Read the written text while watching and focus on the information represented by the numbers that will show up in the video. We'll finish the rest of the activity when we get back. Let's start.
Southwest of Fayoum City is a region called the Valley of Wadi Rayyan. This region has two man-made lakes. Water first reached the upper lake, which had an area of 50.9 square kilometers. Then a stream flowed from the lake down through a deeper part of the basin and formed another lake with an area of 62 square kilometers. After the artificial lakes and waterfalls of Wadi Rayyan, Fayoum turned it into a tourist area. Think! What are the areas that we can exploit in Egypt and turn into a tourist area with Egyptian hands? Share photos with your colleagues to encourage them to visit this place.
Some of the information we got to know is that Wadi Rayyan region has two man-made lakes, and the area of the upper lake is 50.90 square kilometer. All right, let's say one of the students tried to round the area to the nearest whole number, and he rounded the number 50.90 square kilometer to 50.00 square kilometer. Now, we are asked to think of what he did correctly and what he did incorrectly. I want you to think of the possible reason for the mistake and answer the problem correctly. I'll give you enough time to think and we'll discuss the answers when we're back. One of the things you might have thought of is that our friend thought when rounding to the nearest whole number, the number in the tens place would not change, which is why he left 5 as it is. He didn't notice that 9/10 are almost equal to 1 whole, and we're supposed to add 1 to the ones. So the answer here won't be 50. The correct answer here is supposed to be 51 square kilometers. As one of today's lesson objectives is rounding the decimal numbers to the thousands place, we will need to think of rounding rules, strategies that we learned before in primary 4. The first step is to circle the digit next to or right to the place of the value we are rounding. So, if we want to round the number to the nearest thousand, we are going to circle in the 100th place. Then we will look at the digit on its right. If it is 5 or higher, we add another digit. If the number to the right is 4 or less, we write the digit without any addition. The digit to the right becomes zeros. If we are rounding to the nearest 10, 100, 1000, and so on, or if we are rounding to the nearest 10th, 100th, thousands, and so on, we can replace the digits with zeros or not write them at all. The second strategy is, we learned this before, was the midpoint strategy, in which we use the number line to help us in rounding numbers. We start by labeling the midpoint of the two numbers on the number line. Then we check which number the two numbers is close to the number we want to round. Let's apply the midpoint strategy in the activity titled Round and Round. But before we answer the problem, we will explain the strategy on the vertical number line. The vertical line in front of us, which has two numbers written on it, 50.0 and 51.0. The line is divided into 10 equal spaces. Each mark on the line is equal to 1 1/10 or 1/10 of the entire line. The long mark represents the midpoint, which means half of the 10 spaces. So it's equal to 50 and 5/10 or 50 and 5/10. We'll write them down inside the rectangle. Now we will write the number 50.9 on the number line, which will be placed 1 mark below 50.0. All right, how can we check that it is in the place that is assigned for it? It's better to count 50.0 and add 1/10 every time until we write all the numbers that represent each mark on the line. The first mark represents 50.1 and the second one represents 50.2. Now what does the third represent? 50.3. Then I have 50.4. Now we go to the 50.5. After that we jump to the 50.6, then the 50.7 and the 50.8. So that means we represented the number in the correct place. Do you think that the midpoint strategy can help us solve the problem found in Access on analyzing errors? Can it also help our friend to identify the mistake he made and find out the correct answer?
تقدر تتابع كل دروسك على تطبيق مدرستنا بلس. مدرستنا، المستقبل يبدأ الآن.